All right, welcome to the Fourth Floor, an extension of 5 Floor, the 5 Sports Network. I'm Ethan Skolnick. Tonight's episode is sponsored, as always, by Biscayne Bay Brewing. Make sure you check out BiscayneBayBrew.com, where you'll find all of the latest beers that they offer, including, Biscayne Bay, the IPA, of course, the Marlins Lager, the Pale Ale, the Miami Pale Ale. So make sure you check those out. Those are at many, many local Publixes, so make sure you ask for it. Also, other stores in the area and at restaurants. Make sure you ask for Biscayne Bay Brewing. This is the official beer of the 5 Reasons Sports Network, also of the Miami Marlins. Also, check out Prize Picks. Get your Prize Picks in. I saw Greg Sylvander's already done that. PrizePicks.com. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E. That's the code 5. Go to PrizePicks.com. All right, let's see what we have tonight. I don't know if Greg's internet is working. Not sure yet. I see him, so I think he's there. Jonathan Ramlakan below me. You can follow him at 3-Piece Combo. Our producer, Alejandro Villegas, on the other side. In the middle there, Ricky J. Mark. And then down below, Greg Sylvander. The Miami Heat play tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific against the Los Angeles Clippers. No Kawhi Leonard tonight for the Clippers. No Paul George tonight for the Clippers. No excuses for the Miami Heat, even though they don't have Goran Dragic. I want to get to a couple of sort of minor news nuggets here, and then we'll kind of move forward with this. We'll have more on this on the post-game pod if Greg can stay up. We're going to see if he can make it.
I got iced coffee, Red.
Well, yeah, you drink the coffee, I'll drink the beer. That's we go different directions on that. All right, so here's the first thing that I've heard. I know the Heat have tried like 8 different power forwards this year. Expect to see Max Strus a lot more in those lineups, small ball lineups. I've heard that they're going to experiment with that a little bit more. Tonight might be a night to do it also because obviously the Clippers don't have their full complement of players, and Miami may be looking to get another spacer on the floor more consistently. So expect Max Strus to get some minutes at the 4. That's just something I've heard, a direction that they're looking at. Also, we keep talking about trade possibilities. I've been told, I know that Blake Griffin thing has come up. I've been told that there's not a ton of interest right now inside the organization in him, certainly not at the price tag. I think once there's a buyout situation, they may look, but I don't think it's going to be serious. From everything that I'm hearing, I also don't think it's a player that would necessarily, they would put it this way. I don't think it's a player that players on the team would think would buy in to what they're doing necessarily. Again, Blake Griffin has not dunked since 2019. He's not the same player. He moved his game outside. But his splits this year are 37, 71, 71. 37, 31, and 71, which is fairly pathetic. I'm just not sure that he has much left. And, of course, Eric Reed made that abundantly clear on the broadcast. Let's get to it, too. The Clippers tonight. Lou Williams is going to start. They obviously they got to go with what they can go with tonight. I'll just start with you here, Greg. I mean, you're talking about must-wins on a road trip. I don't care how they looked against Utah or no Dragic. They lose tonight. This may end up being the worst loss of the season.
Yeah, especially because now there's been late breaking news that Nick Batum also will not play with a migraine. So even a player who was a Heat killer in a game recently won't be out there as well. So I agree with you. I feel like this is one that you have to get. It's low hanging fruit on a 7-game trip. You got the Houston game. I've always said like 3-4 or 4-3. That's the aim here in this 7-game trip. So you got the Houston game. This is another one of those games you got to get. And then you also get lucky with no AD against the Lakers. So we'll see how that pans out. But tonight it's a must win and not must win like from a season long perspective, but just in this stretch, you got to get this one if you want to come home and feel good about this road trip.
All right. So going to you here, Jonathan, I mean, the struggles against Utah the other night, we've talked a lot about the dribble handoff situation. Greg and I did a podcast on it. Can't seem to free Duncan and seem too reliant on it. What needs to change? I mean, you're going to get against a shorthanded team tonight, but what do they need to look at offensively to get themselves going?
I think they kind of have to use that as a secondary playmaking option. We kind of go straight to it. We'll run a couple of seconds off the shot clock, and if it doesn't end up working out, we have maybe 10 seconds left on the shot clock, and we might end up taking a bad shot. But I want to see us explore other options for. I do like the Bam Jimmy pick and roll, if that's something we want to use. I do like the Tyler Bam pick and roll as well. So I want to see a little bit more of that. You maybe get plays off of that as well. And then making plays just by having your star players doing what they're supposed to do. We've seen maybe a stat where everybody that's Jimmy is assisting to as far as the 3-point line is shooting 40% or above, and Bam is pretty close to that same thing because of the attention that he draws offensively. So if the two main players play like star players and just not like cogs in a machine, we can get this win tonight.
Ricky, again, Greg's talked about a 3-4, 4-3 trip. I've said, get to 3-4 and survive it. I feel differently now, though, that the Clippers don't have their full complement of players. If you're seriously a contender in the Eastern Conference, we really shouldn't be talking about 3-4 West Coast swings. When you have Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, those are ostensibly two All-Stars. Where's your expectation level at right now?
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news for Heat fans out there, but we're compared to the 4 teams ahead of us. I don't think we're a contender this season based on what we have on this roster. We're just not. I think we do well to do the best we can in this stretch, make it to the playoffs, compete, and see what happens from there. But as far as being a contender, I don't think we're there. That said, tonight, as we've all said so far, we have to win this game. We've got Jimmy back. We don't have Goran Dragic back. But we're supposed to be a better team right now. Before the last game, we were, I believe, on a 4-game winning streak, and that needs to get going again quickly. Because look, we're 11-15 right now. We're 4-8 on the road, but that can get away from us very quickly, especially considering who's up next. So this is one of those games, as you said, which would be a low-hanging fruit. We got to take advantage.
One thing I did want to mention too, the other little bit of news, I've heard that the Heat have made some serious inquiries about Thad Young. So that's somebody else we've talked about on the pod. They're still looking for that kind of smaller ball 4 to replace Jay Crowder. I know we can talk about Young not being a prolific 3-point shooter. He can make a 3, and that's somewhat that they're seriously looking at. So we'll see if Chicago breaks things up. I know we've had other conversations about John Collins, but talking about a smaller move. Thad Young is a possibility. I think more so than the Blake Griffin thing right now. I think that is more legitimate. Brady, you were on the calls. Got anything?
No, not really. Just he was just asked about turnovers because they're obviously at the top of turnovers. Somebody brought up an interesting stat that they lead the league in potential assists, which just basically means that it's just a proponent of what they're trying to do and what it's leading to. So I think that's the continued thing that's going to be harped on the offensive side of the ball. You guys probably touched on it already. The issues that we've been seeing offensively, the offensive sets were just, last game, the spacing was just terrible. I think that was a big reason for them not hitting shots. And that's a big proponent of turnovers. So I think if they could just clean up that stuff offensively, they'll be just fine hitting open shots.
Well, let's get to it. This comment comes in. Terrence Mann's going for 30 tonight. Who's the random scrub Heat killer tonight?
Lou Williams.
That doesn't count. I'm sorry.
It doesn't?
He's won multiple 6 Man of the Year awards. He can't be a random.
If I gotta pick a guy, hold on, let me go look here. I'm gonna go with Jay Scrub because his last name is Scrub. That's his. I don't even know if he's gonna be active tonight, but Jay Scrub somehow is gonna impact this game negatively for the Heat. But let's just not lose sight of this is all relative. You guys are going to hate me for this, but I'm going to keep bringing us back to reality. They're 2.5 games out of hosting a playoff series in the Eastern Conference. I know that you guys are frustrated with the team. There's obviously changes that can be made. They're still within striking distance of home court in the playoffs. So I think just keep that perspective there. Jumping off the bridges about this team, it's just getting a little ridiculous on the timeline.
No, it's true, but I can't help but think that water won't find its level, and that the 4 best teams in the East will show themselves to be just that by the end of the season. That said, as I've been saying, and I feel I've been pretty consistent about this throughout this whole season, this Heat team at full strength has a puncher's chance to beat just about anybody in the East. Do I expect that to happen? No, but we'll have to see. They have to get there first.
Good point by Lynette. Last time they didn't have PG or Kawhi either, and then they still won the game, right? So
she also called me a homer, which is a good point too.
Yeah, well, that's acceptable. We'll accept that for sure. A couple other guys I want to get into here. Strus, I mentioned. We may see him a little bit more at the 4. We've talked about Duncan a lot. Is there a role for Mo Harkless here going forward in any way? I know the Heat put him in front of the media yesterday, which is usually a sign that he's going to get some playing time. I mean, we've forgotten about Okpala at this stage, right? Like, that's not even a consideration. Does Harkless work his way back into the rotation?
I think anything is possible if you play defense.
Yeah.
Anything is possible. I mean, the same way Max Strus was able to get himself a contract this season, we could very well see a good Mo Harkless game where the stars align. He hits a couple threes, he makes some key defensive stops, and the next thing you know, he's in the rotation for the next 2 months.
Yeah.
Crazier things have happened.
I think Mo Harkless's biggest contribution to the organization going forward is going to be attached to Myers Leonard in a trade at the deadline to bring a player like Thad Young to Miami with an additional asset. Other than that, expect nothing, and then you won't be disappointed.
I'm with you on that for the most part. People are asking what the semi-exclusive news is. It's not huge news, I said on Twitter. But again, I'm hearing expect to see a lot more Max Strus at the 4. I guess he's the 9th option that they've tried this season. So I do think you'll see some more of that tonight. The other thing, I think to mention too is, they're in on Thad Young. That's B, I guess. And Blake Griffin, not a lot of interest at this time. I will tell you, some players on the team would have to be convinced. That's what I was told. That it's not. There's not a feeling that he would accept the kind of role that they would want him in, or that he would be effective in the kind of role that they would ask him to be. And remember, this is a player who's not dunked since 2019. You got to get the Kia out of your head. Okay, that doesn't exist anymore. He's a 31 splits this year, and really hasn't shown a lot. Bjelica, we've mentioned. Dan, the film gent, asked about that. That's a player they're taking a look at as well. That's trade exception. I don't know if that's an upgrade over Kelly. I think they feel that Thaddeus would be an upgrade over Kelly. All right, let's get to it here. Kind of before we close, I'll let all of you guys jump in. I mean, worst case scenarios we've talked about, but how do they look better if they're going to win tonight? What's going to be the key tonight? Is it just Bam being more aggressive and dominating a game he should dominate, Jonathan?
Yeah, I think it's not going through those stretches of 6 to 8 minutes where we just don't have a basket, because we've had that problem against the Knicks where the second half was just Jimmy and Bam, or against Utah we had a 20-0 run or 18 something crazy lead where Utah built up at the beginning of the second half. So we're allowing these really, really big offensive runs to get on, and we're going on complete offensive droughts. So I feel like it's going to have to start from Jimmy and Bam, because once the offense starts focusing on those guys, that's when everything opens up for everybody else. So if we just keep running the same systemic flow for offense where opposing teams know what kind of shots we're going to look for, which is why Duncan isn't getting the same looks that he was last year, then we're just going to have the same problems that we're going to have we've been having for the whole season so far. So for us to really have a game where we can make sure that our offensive impact is more consistent, Jimmy and Bam are going to have to be the leaders of this team. And I think Tyler also is going to kind of have to be that third guy that we're going to have to start to rely on to be that offensive scoring kind of help assistance, because it can't just be Jimmy and Bam as well, because Jimmy's on his way out, second half of his prime of his career, and we're going to need some help coming up forward.
By the way, the Clippers are also on the second night of a back-to-back. So, I mean, let's just there should be no excuses tonight. I love the two comments came in. One, Greg is such a homer, and the next one is Greg has the guts, which basically sums up the entire fan base. Is anybody have the guts to pick the Clippers tonight? I mean, is that, and then we just shut down the network, essentially. Does anybody have the guts to pick the Clippers?
Yeah, I'll pick them. I'll pick them. Why not?
Oh,
it's
God,
possible.
Rick, look at that.
Nah.
Okay.
I don't mind it. It's perfectly possible.
Ricky used to be the positive one. Not anymore.
Positive, negative. I'm the realistic one. That was always me.
The real Knicks fan, more like.
Hey, look, they got a better record right now.
Oh, no.
But yeah, here's the thing. The way they win is by being pretty much unstoppable from deep. If we're unable to keep track of their guards and their wing play, and Ibaka's able to take advantage of the fact that Bam decided to be,
don't have any wing players tonight.
We make stars out of scrubs on defense.
That's true.
And if Ibaka can take advantage of the fact that Bam decided not to be aggressive tonight, then that's just our downfall. It doesn't matter how hefty Jimmy Butler's triple-double tonight could be. If Bam isn't aggressive, and if we let the other guys left on this Clippers roster look like all-stars, then we're not going to win. And we've done that multiple times before. So
you know who might step up big tonight is Marcus Morris. and I feel like they're gonna have trouble defending him tonight. But I want to see Duncan get back on track, and let's see some Max Strus games and some Kendrick Nunn games, because then trade value increases. So I'm always
That
looking
works
for the
too.
transaction.
The Miami Heat stock market.
Yeah, no, it's well, okay. A couple things on this I want to address. Well, let's get to this. I heard today from someone that they don't think the Heat are going to have an all-star. This is somebody in the league. What do you guys think of that?
That's ridiculous.
That's not happening.
Bam is an all-star this season.
Bam or Jimmy will get in 100%.
You can make the case. You can make the case for Jimmy missing it because of the time missed, but Bam is an all-star this season.
By the time the reserves are voted for, the Heat will be in the 5 seed.
That's a fair. I mean, that's a fair take.
Probably was Danny Ainge.
Yeah. That's a fair. Well, yeah. Who knows what's going to happen with the Celtics? All right. Thanks, guys, for joining. We'll be back. Well, Roy will be back post-game. He's hosting the post-game show. Greg and I, provided we can both stay up, we'll be on the pod. We don't know where Alex is, but he'll find us at some point. Kevin Knox. No Kevin Knox. Sorry, Sam. No. We're not doing that. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Alejandro, you sticking around? You going to be hanging around?
Yes. We have a couple of videos there, including Eric Spolstra. So, yes, we're sticking around for a little bit.
All right. Play the prize picks, prizepicks.com. Use the code 5, Biscayne Bay Brewing. Thanks.
All right. So thank you to all of you that are sending your comments here. We're going to listen to Bam Adebayo right after last game against the Utah Jazz. That's going to be the first guy coming up here in the Fire Reasons YouTube channel.
All right, Bam, you ready? We're going to get started with Ira Winderman.
Bam, Coach spoke to us about how unique a challenge the Jazz are, especially with Gobert and the way they push up on the perimeter. I mean, was this just a unique challenge for you guys where you don't play a team that often, it's a little tougher to adjust? Or did you guys feel like maybe you just didn't have it tonight?
I feel like we just missed a lot of shots, and like it always boils down to turnovers. I feel like that's how they got back in the game. Getting them second chance points and also turnovers.
And going back to those turnovers, it seemed like you were moving away from that last week. You were getting better control of the ball. Then there were 21 against Houston on Friday. Again tonight, 9 in the first half. Is that just more on you not getting the spacing on your offense, or do you think it's more of a case of you just ran into good defense? Thank you.
No, I just feel like we weren't disciplined with the ball.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Anthony Chang.
Hey, Bam. I know Utah poses a unique challenge defensively to all teams, but a couple of guys this season have talked about how opponents are guarding you guys a little differently this season after the success you guys had last year. Have you noticed that just kind of not just this game, but over the past few weeks, teams maybe switching more or whatever it may be, just kind of making adjustments to what you guys do offensively?
They're trying to take Duncan out the game. The stuff we was doing with Duncan last year, we can't do this year. So we just got to adjust, and watch film, get together, and figure it out.
What effect does that have on obviously Duncan is such a huge part of the offense. What effect does that have on kind of the rest of the unit when he's not able to get the shot attempts up he was getting last season?
I mean, it's when you try to cancel a dude out, it's like playing 4-on-5. So we gotta figure it out. Me and Jimmy gonna figure it out. I can't shoot that bad from the field again, and I gotta keep being aggressive, but I can't shoot that bad from the field.
Thank you.
Next, we have Cristo Saltas.
Hello, Bam. I would like to ask you, what would you like to change about the approach and about the defense, the defensive approach of your team, and also how important is to respond to the next game?
On defense, we just got to give multiple efforts. That's the number one team in the NBA over there. So, I feel like it was sometimes we didn't give multiple efforts like we should have, and it's important for us to bounce back. This next game. That's what we got to do. That's what we get paid for, to collect wins. So we got to bounce back.
All right, Bam, that's it. Thank you.
Black Lives Matter, people.
All right, that was Bam Adebayo a couple of nights ago when they lost to the Utah Jazz. Now let's listen to Eric Spoelstra today, a couple of minutes ago, the one that Brady Hawk was talking about. So let's go and show that one real quick here, and then we'll go back to what happened or what Jimmy Butler said right after that game against the Utah Jazz. So let's go and listen to Eric Spoelstra.
Hey, Coach, we'll get started with Jason Jackson.
Greetings, Coach. First of all, just going back to the first meeting with them, it was a crazy finish at the end. What most stands out to your mind from the last time you guys met, particularly down the stretch?
The whole game, just the way our guys managed everything. We're coming off of a road trip, and then we had guys out, but different young guys were able to step up and give us really productive minutes. Gabe had some good moments in that game, running the point. Max, was able to break free from three. Precious had some good moments. So we jumped out to, whatever it was, 18-point lead in the first half. They jumped, to a double-digit 15-point lead, and then we were able to grind back there at the end. It got a little bit crazy with forced a couple turnovers and got it close, but we never could get it over the hump. And it'll be somewhat similar due to their guys being out, but they've dealt with it. We've dealt with it as well, and we're just looking to find some more consistency.
And then also during the 4-game win streak, you guys were at the line about 30 times a night. I know Utah is great about guarding without fouling. Can you chalk that up to a little bit of a anomaly because of them, and there's just the things that you're doing can get back to where you were?
Well, we know what our identity is, and some teams, make it tougher than others. Utah is a really good defensive team, and they've done it, all year long, and actually now for multiple years, and it's unique, with Gobert and the size that they have to be able to, prevent your attacks. But we're an aggressive attacking team. We also are a space and shooting team, and it's a symbiotic relationship. It all works hand in hand when we're at our best. Attackers have to have the space to be able to do what they do, to be able to get to the rim and get to the line, and our shooters have to do what they do, to open things up, and our attackers also have to get them involved and have the necessary ball movement.
All right, next up we have Law Murray with The Athletic.
Good evening, Eric. Speaking of symbiotic relationships, especially offensively, I found it interesting that the team is leading the league in potential assists, but I think the thing that people more are tuned to right now is the fact that the team also leads the league in turnovers by a pretty significant margin right now. Yeah. And how much can you just take the good from what you're trying to do offensively as a system, but also try and address the fact that the team has struggled to take care of the basketball on a per play basis?
Yeah, you have to deal in reality and not the noise. So there are certainly some things that have been trending in the right direction in terms of our offense. I know our guys in our locker room feel like it's going the right way. I did not see that stat, but you could feel it. I don't need to look at that stat. I have other metrics that I look at that are relationship of attacking and ball movement and spacing has looked better. But clearly taking care of the basketball, in many ways, I think is the overwhelming priority for this basketball team to be able to value the possession and take care of it, be more solid with it without taking away the aggressiveness.
Next, we have Cameron Buford.
Hey, good evening, Coach. With the rosters that you're juggling over the last few weeks, with the players being in and out and injured and COVID, what have you learned about your roster, your players that are being available on a night-to-night basis? What have you learned about your squad in general?
One, we think we have great mental toughness in our locker room. If any team can handle all of the things that have happened without making an excuse, without feeling sorry for ourselves, without asking for pity, it is this group. And I really commend the way our group has handled everything. And because of that, I think we've gotten a lot better. I think our young group of players, including our two-ways, are very good. We've been able to go, deep into our roster, play our young guys, and they've been able to produce while they're still developing and learning the league. And it's been challenging, and I think that's really. I've found it a very interesting season. It's making all of us better. I've enjoyed this experience. Despite the disappointment and frustration of some tough losses. This is definitely a season that's pushing you to adapt and grow.
All right, Coach, that's it. Thank you.
All right, that was Eric Spoelstra a couple of minutes ago, around 10 to 20 minutes ago, before the game tonight against the Los Angeles Clippers. Now let's go back and listen to what Jimmy Butler had to say about the game against the Utah Jazz, okay, a couple of nights ago. Let's go and listen to that.
Once we get some hands raised. And we'll start with Anthony Chang.
Hey, Jimmy. That third quarter, you take away that third quarter, and it was, I think, a 2-point game. What did you see? I know you always preach defense, but offensively, in that second and third quarter, that drought, what did you see as some of the issues during that stretch?
Turnovers, one. Not rebounding is another thing. We missed some shots. And then we just tried to hit a home run instead of just going single. And it never ends well for us.
And Bam was just on. He said that teams are really trying to take Duncan out of the game as much as possible, even more than last season. A couple of the guys have talked about different adjustments teams have made against your guys' offense. What have you noticed about maybe how teams are playing you differently, and maybe in respect to the comment Bam made regarding Duncan?
I mean, they're gonna throw everything at us to try to slow us down. Yes. I got to be better. That's fine. But as far as Duncan is, that's part of being a pro. You have to watch the film and figure out ways that you can get open. Like I always say, nobody feels sorry for us. We're all going to be better. But I think just as much as he can work on getting open, we got to do a better job of getting him his shots as well.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ira Winderman.
Jimmy, it appeared you guys were over the turnover problems. You were down to 11 in consecutive games, sort of getting your legs again. And then in Houston, they came back up. And today, really in that first half, was that a matter of you guys getting out of sync with what you do? Or was that just Utah's defense tonight?
I mean, we had a lot of careless ones, to tell you the truth. Mishandling the ball, being over passive a little bit. We know that we got to keep the turnovers down to give us a chance. We got to get more possessions. We know all of this. We know all of that. And it just goes to, talking about it. We do it all the time. We just got to go out there and take care of the ball. It got to mean more for it.
And those droughts tonight, the 16-0 run in the second half, their 14-0 run in the first half. What was that about, that to have that kind of period after you guys really had been sort of in a groove over the last week or so? What happened during those two decisive stretches? Thank you.
We let our offense dictate our defense. We started missing shots, not getting back, not rebounding, and then they started scoring. So it's always going to look like that whenever you're not guarding 16-0, 14-0, whatever it was. Whenever we miss, we just got to be able to anchor down and guard somebody.
All right, up next we have Matthew Coles with Associated Press.
What's different about this Utah Jazz team right now? Are they playing as well as you've ever seen them play?
Yeah, they're playing well. I mean, they're winning a lot of games, so they're doing something right.
And tonight, what made it so difficult for you guys to get the offense that you wanted to get?
They made shots, we didn't.
All right, Jimmy, that's it. Thank you.
Right, that was Jimmy Butler with a very funny answer there at the end. So let's go and finish up with our friend Kendrick Nunn. He's going to be the last one. It's a short one, so don't go too far away because it's going to be really, really short, a couple of minutes. All right, so let's listen to Kendrick Nunn.
How we doing, Kendrick?
I'm all right.
Please, let's raise hands if you have questions for Kendrick. All right, we're going to get started with Ira Windeman, Sun Sentinel. Go ahead.
Really, Maddox. Thank you, Maddox. Kendrick, the way you guys had been playing coming into this with a 4-game winning streak, was it a matter of you felt that maybe you guys weren't playing at the level that you were previously, or was it just running into a really good team? Thank you.
I believe we've been playing some really good basketball coming into this game, and it will be a challenge. This is the #1 team in the league right now, and we knew they would put up a fight, and we had to put up a fight as well. So we got down early, and couldn't get any consistent offense, and we couldn't get any stops going down the stretch. And when they took that lead, it was pretty hard to get it back.
All right. Up next, we have Brady Hawk, 5 Reasons.
Hey, Kendrick, how often do you feel shots not falling leads to other things breaking down? Is that something that's discussed from coaches or between players?
Yeah, definitely. That's something we talk about, and that's the hump we have to get over. When we're not making shots, not allowing them to make shots. I think that's a big part of the game. And when we're not making shots, we have to get stops, and that's the only way we're going to win.
All right, Crystal Saltis, SDNA Greece, go ahead.
Hello, Kendrick. I would like to ask you, how could you explain the third quarter of the game tonight? How crucial was about the game, and how important is to respond on the next game after that loss?
Like I said previously, we couldn't get any consistent offense. We weren't scoring the ball at all, and they were coming down scoring. So when they took that lead, it was pretty much hard to get it back, and that's pretty much was the game in the second half. And I believe that's when they took that run, and the game had opened up for them.
All right, Kendrick, that's it. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so that was Kendrick Nunn. That was a couple of nights ago after they lost to the Utah Jazz. So tonight, we don't have the lineup yet. We start lineup, but we expect it to be the same lineup they've been using in the last couple of games. This was the one they used against the Utah Jazz: Bam Adebayo, Kelly Olynyk, Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson, and Kendrick Nunn. Again, Bam Adebayo, Kelly Olynyk, Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson, and Kendrick Nunn. That should be the starting lineup for tonight's game as well. It's going to start at 10 p.m. here on the East Coast, and we will have a post-game show right after the game is over, so you're welcome to join us right after the game, and we're also going to have the live score here for you guys in case you guys can watch it and you just want to monitor how the Heat is doing tonight. So thank you very much for joining us. Remember to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. Leave your comments here, give us a thumbs up so you can help us to keep growing our audience here for you guys. So thank you very much. Where's Goran? Goran's out. He's not ready yet to play, so he's not going to be available tonight. Thank you very much for being with us, and we will see you during the live score and then right after the game for the 5 Reasons Sports Network post-game show. Bye-bye. Have a good night.